Hey everybody, Krista here. We're back in the bathroom with my hairpin back, and what that means is that we are going to have a focused video today on eyebrows. If eyebrows have been something that have been confusing and curious and absolutely overwhelming for you, especially in the last few years where they seem to be taking such a center stage, then stay tuned, this video is for you. And if you're new here, I'm Krista Smith, and I'm on a mission to help ambitious women thrive as leaders by sharing what I've learned and am still learning as an executive, an optimizer, and a beauty school wannabe. Let's get into it. So let's start out by just talking in general a bit about eyebrows. Eyebrows are so important because they are the frame to the face. And it's easy for us not to really think about them too much because we get so used to looking at our face the way that it is. And as our eyebrows change, as we mature, we don't really realize that we might look up one day and not have as much of a frame to the face as we may used to have had. Now, as we mature, our eyebrows do tend to get lighter and more sparse. I recognize that everybody has really different eyebrows. I'm certainly not an expert. I'm going to be able to let you know what works for me, and hopefully you can take that and apply it to whatever eyebrow situation that you have. Now, there are so many different types of products that you can get, all the way from pomades and gels and pencils and micro pencils and pencils that are pomades and little pots of things and brushes and more and more and more. And then products that are combinations of those things. So you might be able to get a product that is a pomade at one end with a brush in it and then a spoolie on the other end or a gel on the other end. It's pretty confusing if you jump into it. So today I'm going to break it down on what's essential and what I have found is easiest for me. So when thinking about eyebrows, I'm going to talk about them in three categories: growing eyebrows, shaping eyebrows, and then enhancing eyebrows. In the first category around growing eyebrows, if you didn't know, you can use the eyelash serums that are out, both the prescription and the non-prescription, on your eyebrows. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I don't know if the products are indicated for eyebrows, but I do know that many people have had success. Influencers on YouTube and different medical spas certainly recommend using the eyelash enhancing serums like Revitalash. I'll list some examples below in the description field. Or prescription serums like Latisse that are meant for the eyelashes work really well on the eyebrows too. And what they'll do is that they will grow the hairs thicker, more, so you'll get more hairs, and then they will also grow the individual hairs themselves darker, and it will thicken the hair itself. And so if you feel like your eyebrows have become more sparse over the years, that might be something that you want to try. Those serums are pretty spendy, usually around $100 or maybe even over $100 a pop, but they do last a long time. And if it's something that you want to try out and treat yourself to, I certainly recommend that. So in the next category around shaping eyebrows, there are, once again, so many different options. You can get the eyebrows waxed, you can get the eyebrows threaded. I can say that if you do use retinoids or tretinoin, that's the generic version of Retin-A, you need to be really careful on getting your eyebrows waxed, because the Retin-A, even if you don't put it around your eyes, I do recommend putting it around your eyes if you can build up to it. Not on your eyelids, but underneath your eyes. That's a different video. But you have to be careful, because even if you don't intentionally put the retinoids or the tretinoin around your eyes, it can kind of migrate there if you put another cream on top of your Retin-A or a serum, or just because things tend to migrate, and it can make the eyebrow skin thin enough and delicate enough to where if you get it waxed, it can also pull off skin, and that is miserable. So please be careful if you get your eyebrows waxed, or if you choose to wax them yourself, to be very careful. Threading works fine because it's just a way of plucking that's a little bit more elegant and very impressive for the people that can do that. And they do a great job shaping the eyebrows. And then there's, your good old plucking. And I can say that for me, tweezing is what I've arrived on as the most convenient and the most easy way to maintain eyebrows once you have them shaped. I have a few tips on tweezing, and that is to keep a pair of tweezers in several different locations. And this sounds a little bit strange. The light is different in your car or at your kitchen counter. And if you keep a pair of tweezers and magnifying mirror, like this one here from Tweezer Man that actually happens to even have a little light on it that can turn on and off, then when you see those little random hairs, if you're checking yourself out before you leave the car or whatever, you can just grab them right there. And it's a little bit strange, but it makes them so much easier to maintain. And so that's something to think about. Let's talk about what the shape of the eyebrow should be if you do decide to tweeze them yourself. If you get a pencil or a brush and take it and lay it across your nose and then to the end of your eye, you want your eyebrow tail to come right to the end of where that brush is or that pencil. And then the way to determine where your eyebrow should start in the middle is to lay it up next against your nose, and then you want the eyebrow to start right there. That's a good rough guideline to keep you from having the eyebrow too far in and to keep this side from coming too far in. A lot of people over tweeze, and I would recommend definitely going a light on the tweezing to start out with. And now let's talk about what I have found, at least right now for me, the easiest ways to enhance my brows a little bit. And I have tried all of the many, or at least most of the different things that you can use to enhance your brows. And really what I'm going with right now is powder. And I have found that I have a few different eyeshadow palettes that have a color in them that works just fine for my eyebrows. Now some tips that I've figured out. If you're looking to match an eyebrow powder, the powder in the pan will look a lot lighter than your eyebrow itself. Also, I really recommend against going too warm and instead move toward the cool end of the spectrum. And so what that might look like is a taupier light brown or a taupier dark blonde, or even if your hair is very, very dark, consider moving away from the redder browns or the redder deep browns and more into the cooler browns. For my hair, you can see that my hair color is cool. I think that the cool rule though works for even people who have a more golden tone in their hair or even a little bit of strawberry in their hair. And I have found a couple different eyeshadows that seem to work fine. And if you like neutral palettes, you might actually have some eyeshadows that work for you. But in this palette, this is a Marc Jacobs palette that I have that I absolutely love. This one right here, that color, works really well on my brows. Now you can see my brows are a lot darker than that color, but when I use it to enhance them, it works. Another color that works really well for me in an eyeshadow palette that I already have is one that's in another palette that I absolutely love, and that's this Stone Cold Fox palette by ColourPop. Really inexpensive palette, but has every color in the universe in it. Looks like this. And the color that works really well for my brows is this one right here. Again, it's way lighter than my eyebrows, but works really well. Sometimes I might go in to use this one, but this one actually is a tiny bit pink and so it can look weird, but that color right there works really well. You could also go, if it doesn't, you don't want anything with sparkles in it, so please use a matte shadow on your eyes. But let's try it and see what that looks like. I'm going to use this angled brush. This is an Ulta angled brush, and I will put a description of it down in the box below. But let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to dip it in there just a little bit, and then I like to start really on the tails of my eyebrows, because my eyebrows are darker on the inside. They just kind of lose some shape and definition to the tails. And so I will go in and add a little bit there, And you can see how that darkens it just a little bit. And I'm going with the shape of the eyebrow itself. If you don't have a very good line under here, you can line it just like that. And then maybe I'll go in at the front of the eyebrow and add just a little bit of color. Now, my eyebrows want to point down, and so if you want to stop that, or at least help it, short of gluing them down, you can use something like an eyebrow gel, and this is by e.l.f. It's literally like $2 at Target. I'll put it in the description box below, but this one's in light, and then you can use it and just kind of seal it in there. It works like gel, and that'll add a tiny bit more color and keep it in place for a while. But really, for work, for life, this is all the brow definition that I find that I need. Again, I know that everybody has different brow needs. I found that this works for me. Now, just to conclude, I do want to note that I also have found that it's pretty easy to use the eyebrow pencils that are micro pencils. So that means that they're really, really thin and you can almost just paint in the hairs. There are also eyebrow pens that have felt tips on them where you can, again, paint in the hairs, and that might work for you too. And then there's also some more permanent or semi-permanent options. In tattooing, I believe that that is the most permanent, and you go in and every few years get them darkened because I believe that it tends to fade. That one, for me, isn't the best option because I want to be able to update my eyebrows with whatever the eyebrow trend is. If you remember in the 90s, the eyebrow trend was a lot thinner, and then today in 2021, it's a lot thicker, and I want to be able to kind of evolve with what those trends are. But for some people, that tattooing really, really works. And then there's also microblading, which is a semi-permanent solution that they get super scientific, mathematical, and they calculate exactly what the eyebrow shape should be for your face, and you can pick any color in the world and they can mock it up on a computer enhanced diagram, and you can say yay or nay, and then they go ahead and do that. And that's another choice if you really don't want to deal with your eyebrows on a daily basis. So that's everything that I have for you for brows today. Let me know if this is helpful. Let me know what you have determined really helps for you in figuring out how to frame your face with your eyebrows. Leave those suggestions in the comment box below. If this is helpful, please hit that thumbs up, like it, share with your friends, make sure that you subscribe, hit that notify bell, and let me know what else you'd like us to talk about. Have a great day.